Welcome back again, my dear brothers and sisters. So we are going pretty well. This is the fifth episode of our discussion. So before we kick off today's discussion, let us first of all have a quick recapitulation of the last four episodes. So what did we actually cover in our last four episodes? So in the very first episode, if you remember, we discussed the most important questions of our existence. And we found that these questions are, where did we come from and what is our purpose of existence? And we also found in the same episode that to find the answer to these questions, the primary question that we need to solve is whether there exists a creator or not. This is the primary question we need to solve. Then in the second episode, we discussed various means that people mostly rely on to find this truth, if there exists a creator. So people rely on means like on their feelings, on science, then on miracle. So there are various means that people rely on to find this truth. The perfect means that we should actually rely on to find this truth is common sense. Then in the third and fourth episodes, we discussed the existence of this universe. Where did the universe come from? What made the universe exist? And we found that if one thinks about these questions, then they get four possibilities, out of which only one possibility is logically valid. And that is, there is a creator separate from the creation created the universe. So these were our last four episodes. Now, having proved the existence of the creator, let us discuss certain attributes of the creator. Now, one can ask, what is the importance of actually discussing the attributes of the creator? Isn't it sufficient for us to know that the creator exists and that's it? Yes, it's true. We don't have to know all the attributes of the creator. And it is not possible also to know, what all the attributes of the creator. How can you know all the attributes of the one who has created everyone? It's not possible. But my dear brothers and sisters, we must know certain attributes of the creator so that we can distinguish him from others. Because remember, there is already a confusion. There are some people, they confuse themselves as well as other as to who is the creator, right? So they always mix up creator and the creation, these two entities. They don't draw any clear line between them, right? So it is very important to know the attributes of the creator, at least those attributes of the creator, so that we can identify him, so that we can know who the creator is. Right? And one of these attributes, my dear brothers and sisters, that we are going to discuss in this episode is whether the creator is one or multiple. Whether the power that created us, the power that is running the universe is one or many. Or in other words, whether God is one or many. Interestingly enough, finding the answer to this question is an exceedingly simple task. Anyone can find it without doing any hair-splitting research and reading voluminous books. It's a very simple thing to know that the creator is actually one. Of course, I'm going to show you the proof and everything, how can we say that everyone knows that the creator is one. But before that, let me just interesting point that why does it have to be very simple thing to know? Why does the knowledge of creator's oneness, and not only creator's oneness, any attribute of the creator, why does this knowledge have to be very easy for us to know? The answer to this is very simple, my dear brothers and sisters. See, if the creator does not make the knowledge of his attributes easy for us to understand, if he does not make his attribute very easily accessible for us, then it would mean he is responsible for all the chaos and turmoil in this world. Because remember, this is something we have discussed in the previous episode, that more than half of the wars in this world are due to religion. Yes, media might portray that these are actually political wars, but when you analyze them deeply, you find that these are actually religious wars. And you will find people are actually fighting over various concepts of God. People are fighting over the issues like who is the God? How does the God look? How many gods, right? So these are the issues over which people are actually fighting, my dear brothers and sisters. So we cannot deny this, right? So if creator does not make the knowledge of his attributes easy for us to know, then it would mean that he is responsible for all this. He led us to this situation where we're actually fighting with each other. But can we expect this thing from the one who has created everything, who is infinitely intelligent? Remember, the engineering of the universe tells us that how intelligent he is. We cannot even comprehend, We cannot even comprehend how intelligent the creator is. So obviously, we cannot expect this thing from the creator. He must have made this knowledge very easy for us to know. Now, how is he going to make this knowledge very easy for us? By making these attributes very logical? Obviously, these attributes have to be logical. Since these are creator's attributes, these have to be logical. But the problem with logic is, this is something we have discussed in the second episode, that logic many a times actually takes us to unrealistic situation. And there are some clever people, they can, even show you some false logic and prove something else, right? So there is no doubt that the attributes of the creator have to be logical, but they should not be only logical. Even they should not be only common sense, because obviously the attributes have to be common sense, but not only common sense, because common sense is also a sense, my dear brothers and sisters, that takes some time to grow, because we grow our common sense seeing the real world around us, rather. So obviously the attributes of the creator have to be common sense, but the attributes of the creator, the knowledge of the attributes of the creator have to be available to us, have to be accessible in an even easier way. I mean, the knowledge of these attributes should be there with us since our birth. That means we should be born with this knowledge, right? Something that is called intuitive knowledge. Intuitive knowledge is that for which you are not going to be demanding any logic. You know that to be true. It's called intuitive knowledge. It is something that is embedded in our souls, embedded in our minds. Something that is called natural disposition. So for example, a mother takes care of her babies, of her children. This is something that has in her natural disposition. She doesn't have to grow it, right? She doesn't have to go to any training institution and learn that she should take care of her children. This is something that is embedded in her soul. She cannot rather help the urge of taking care of her children. And this is not only true for human mothers of all the creatures. They exhibit the same nature. They cannot help the urge of taking care of their children, because this is a quality with which they are created, my dear brothers and sisters. So this is a natural disposition. So the knowledge of creator's attributes have to be also our intuitive knowledge. We should know them already. I'm going to share with you two observations which show that knowledge of the creator's oneness is actually an intuitive knowledge. I'm going to share with you two observations which show that. Observation number one: whenever someone, no matter which religion he or she professes, or no matter which language he or she speaks, whenever someone falls into a trouble, whenever a calamity strikes someone, and now they invoke God, call upon God for help, you will hear them crying out, "Oh God, help us." They don't say, "Oh gods, help us." You don't find them using a plural term for God, gods. They will say, "Oh God, help me." They don't say, "Oh gods, help me," right? And this is the case with all the languages, my dear brothers and sisters. This is not only in English. In every language. You also think about any language that you know other than English, and think of any phrase where the term God is used in that language, because obviously the term God varies from language to language. So you think of any phrase of that in that language, and think of any phrase in that language where the term God is used, and it is my challenge that term has to be in singular. It cannot be plural. It has to be plural. There are thousands of languages, my dear brothers and sisters, in this world. I don't know all the languages, but this is my challenge. The term God, which is used in whatever the phrase, in whatever the language, that term has to be singular always, right? And this is not only for God help us. Any phrase where the name God is used actually, or the term God is used. For example, God willing, we don't say God's willing. God given talent, we don't say God's given talent. God bless you, we don't say God's bless you. God forbid, we don't say God's forbid. So any phrase where we use the term God, that has to be singular. It's a remarkable observation, my dear brothers and sisters. You cannot deny this. Well, some people might say that what about some people, those who say, "Oh Jesus," or "Buddha." See, these people have actually referred God by these names always. But you won't find them ascribing any plurality to God. Whenever they're in trouble, when they're actually calling God, they won't assign any plurality to God's name, right? There are around 8 billion people living on this planet today, where some thousands of languages are being spoken and thousands of religions are being followed. My dear brothers and sisters, yet we find that people are naturally unanimous in confessing that God is one. It's a remarkable observation. Why? Yes, some other times they might, worship multiple gods. Number of gods. But you will find whenever, willingly or unwillingly, they're taking the name of God, they're taking in singular. My dear brothers and sisters, this tells us something. This tells us that the knowledge of oneness of the Creator is actually embedded in our souls, embedded in our minds. That means the creator is one is an intuitive knowledge. We are already born with this knowledge, right? Now question arises that if the creator is one and everyone knows that creator is one, then why do people actually worship multiple gods? Why do people worship so many gods? This is the biggest conundrum, you know. And my dear brothers and sisters, the reason is people believe that the creator is one, but most of them believe that gods are many. I repeat, people believe that the creator is one, but most of them believe gods are many. Which means that for most of the people, creator and gods are not same. These two are different, entities. Most of the people do not treat, creator and God to be synonymous. They don't consider creator and God to be synonymous, which is wrong actually. Creator and God, these two, entities, these are not two different entities. These are actually synonymous. The creator is the only God. That is something I'm going to prove to you. But the thing is, before that, let me just discuss about the belief of people. So people think that the creator and God are not same. But they believe the creator is one. And not only them, you will find even the scriptures they follow. Their scriptures also say that the creator is one. This is amazing, my dear brothers and sisters. Some of the religions where you will find people are worshipping thousands of gods. But in that same religion, the scripture, if you study the scripture, you will find the credit of creating the universe is given to only one being. The credit of creating the universe is only given to one being. That means that scripture considers the creator to be one, right? And this is the case with all the religions. You can actually check. You can look up for yourself, on the internet. You'll find it, because obviously this is not a comparative religion class, so I'm not, quoting the chapters and verses and everything, in fact. But it's a very easy thing, my dear brothers and sisters. You can find it out very easily that almost all the scriptures say that the God is actually one. The creator is one. Even the people also say the same thing. They also follow the same thing, that creator is one, but they worship multiple gods. So what is gods to most of the people? Most of the people believe that if something has some supernatural power, such that it can bring some benefit or it can cause some harm, then they consider that thing to be God. Then they call it God and they worship that thing as God, right? So they ascribe supernatural power to these things. And this could be anything. It could be a human being, a plant, an animal, any object, So people actually ascribe supernatural power to this, and they believe that this can either bring some benefit or cause some harm. So for gaining benefit or getting rid of harm, they do what? They end up worshipping these things, in fact. Some examples are needed, otherwise, we won't understand what exactly we're trying to say. So let me give you an example where people think that, they derive benefit from certain objects, So there is a plant, and some people believe that if you keep that plant in your house, then it causes increase in your wealth, right? So with this belief, they do what? They keep this plant in their houses and they worship that plant as God. So now every day morning you will find that the people are actually watering the plant. They're offering some oblation, or putting some incensing or garlanding it. You'll find this various mumbo and jumbo now will also be, invented in the name of worship. Now they're worshipping this plant as a god. Why? Because they believe that this plant can cause some increase in your wealth, right? Now, if you ask this group of people, hey, tell me one thing, do you believe that this plant has created the universe? They will say, no. This is not the creator. We don't believe that this plant has created the universe. But we call it God because we believe that this plant can cause certain benefit. It can bring some certain benefit. What is that benefit? It can cause financial gain, right? So with this belief, they will worship that plant. Another example where people worship object, believing that this object can cause some harm. There are some snakes which are venomous, poisonous snakes. Now, in old days, what happened? People died of snake bites. And at the time, obviously, science and technology was not that advanced also. So they couldn't find that what is the remedy of this thing, in fact. So while they reached their wits' end, what did they do? They started worshipping these snakes as gods. Either directly, or maybe they will, make some sculpture or idol of the snake, some idol of that snake, considering that this snake is the king of the snake or queen of the snake, and they will worship it. Right? Because obviously always dealing with a live snake is not very easy, right? So they will make some sculpture or idol right? So this is what actually this is how people invent gods, my dear brothers and sisters. Now, once again, if you ask these people that do you believe that this snake has created the universe, they will say no, 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 no. We worship this snake to get rid of only one thing, that is what? Snake bites. We believe that if we worship this snake, then we can protect ourselves from snake bite. With this belief only we worship this snake. They don't believe that this snake is the creator. This is how gods are invented, my dear brothers and sisters. No matter how much you are going to research, this is how you find so many gods are being worshipped in this world. Every day, every minute, perhaps, gods are invented. New gods are invented, right? But this is absolutely ludicrous, because if you believe that there is a creator, there exists a creator, then whatever the benefit or even harm you get from the creation, you have to worship the creator for that. This is common sense, because when you believe, for example, that snake, when you believe that snake is created, the snake is created by the creator, that means you are believing that the creator has not only caused it exist physically, the creator has also created its internal and external qualities. That means the snake is able to produce its venom, that means its poison. This ability is also created by the creator. This is not something the snake can control, right? It can produce poison. Who created this ability in the snake? Obviously, it is a creator. So if you want to get rid of the poison, or if you want the snake not to bite you, then who deserves to be worshipped? It is the creator, right? Because the snake doesn't have any control over its poison, because the snake's poison is actually produced in a gland, and this is something which is produced naturally, right? It doesn't have any control over it. For example, we have so many glands, and so many substances are being produced in our glands. We are secreting so many substances. Now, my dear brothers and sisters, think about it. Are you able to stop the secretion of a substance in one of your glands? Do you have any control over that? It's impossible. The creator, the one who has created us with that ability, he can do that. So if you want to actually, invoke someone for protecting yourself from snake bites, then the one whom you have to invoke is the creator. One whom you have to call upon is the creator, not anyone else, right? Similarly, some benefit. When we get some benefit from creation, for example, there are some plants which have medicinal qualities. We can use them as medicine, Now, the plant doesn't have any control over its medicinal qualities. The creator, the one who has created the plant, he did not only cause the plant to exist physically, he created all its qualities also. So the plant is medically beneficial. This ability is also created by the creator. So if you want to worship, you have to worship, in fact, if you want to worship someone here, then the one who can be worshipped is the creator, not the plant, because the plant doesn't have any power over its quality. So the only one who deserves to be worshipped is the creator. Now, there are two footnotes I would like to mention. Footnote number one, that I have already said that about the venomous snake. Now, some people might say that, well, why the creator actually created certain harmful things like this? Harmful things in this, as it could be living or non-living. Then does it mean that the creator is not merciful? This is a very common question. Mostly you will find atheists raise this question, to attack the concept of God. It's a very common question. And my dear brothers and sisters, I'm going to be spending a great deal of time answering this question. Probably in the next episode only I will do that. And remember, I'm going to show you the logic that the creator is most merciful. Logically, I'm going to prove that, But why has he created certain things with these harmful characteristics? This is something I will explain in the next episode, right? So we should not think that that the creator is cruel. He is ruthless, that he has created these objects. The creator is the most merciful. Footnote number two. When I have given the example of this plant, medicinal plant, and we should worship the creator for the medicinal qualities, I said, that does not mean you can apply the same logic for the plant that I have given as first example. That some people actually believe that a plant can cause financial increase. So now one can say, well, we will be worshipping the creator only, but can we keep this plant with the belief that it causes increase in our wealth? But we are not going to be considering it as God. But as you are saying that this is illogical, we will not call that tree or plant, God, we will worship only the creator. But we are going to keep the plant in our house with the belief that it causes certain financial gain. Can we do that? Absolutely nonsense. We cannot. Because the example of a medicinal plant is a different example. Why? Because that quality, medicinal quality, this is a scientific discovery, my dear brothers and sisters. And scientific findings or scientific discoveries are the facts which no one disagrees. Everyone is unanimous about that. I mean, scientific discoveries are universally accepted. And that is why you will find that people from every faith, when they fall sick, they knock the door of science, right? Because scientific knowledge is something which is universally accepted. You know, that a plant has some medicinal qualities, it has some medicinal values. It's a scientific discovery. But a plant can cause increase in wealth. This idea is not scientific. This idea is actually adhered by certain group of people. This is a superstition. Only certain group of people actually believe in this idea. And it doesn't have any proof. So obviously it is nonsense if you say that, you know what, we will keep a plant with this superstitious belief. This is not correct at all. And you cannot attribute certain things like this when creator can only, you know what, cause you a financial increase, not the plant. So my dear brothers and sisters, in short, what we have discussed so far, that for any benefit, you know what, that you want to derive from the creation, or for any harm that you want to get rid of, the only one you have to worship is the creator. Okay? In short, the only one worthy of worship is the creator himself, no one else. Or the God, the only God who is worthy of worship is the creator. And God and creator, these are synonymous. There is no God worthy of worship other than the creator. So the only God is the creator himself, right? So this is observation number one, and observation number one proves that the creator is one. This idea is actually an inherent knowledge. Now, moving on to the second observation, my dear brothers and sisters, observation number two also shows that the idea that the creator is one is actually embedded in our souls. So much so that even in our actions, we exhibit that, you know what, the creator is one. Even in our actions. How? Well, in any human social structure, more than one individuals are never elevated to the same supreme position. That means a school has only one principal. A country has only one president. A ship has only one captain. A team has only one leader. You won't find two people in the same position as the highest authority. Well, some people might say, what about vice principal, vice president, vice captain? I'll come to that vice very soon. Why we have the concept of vice, I will come to that very soon. But in the same position, you won't find two people. You never find that. Now, of course, this is not possible that in the past, you know what, people from all across the globe, they convened with each other. All the societies, they have convened with each other. And then, you know what, they decided that in any hierarchical system, we are going to consider only one person as the highest authority. You know, in any human society or in any system, we are going to always consider one person as the highest authority. This was not something, you know what, unanimously decided, obviously, right? Rather, this is something which every society exhibits, that we never elevate two people as the highest authority. We don't never consider two people as the sovereign. Why, my dear brothers and sisters? The reason is we have not been created with the ability to accept, you know what, two as the sovereign, right? That is why we show a natural aversion towards considering two people as our sovereign in the same position. We never find. That means what? The creator has created us with the quality of accepting only one creator. We cannot believe in two creators. We are not created in that fashion, right? So my dear brothers and sisters, these all prove that the creator is one. Yes. So what is the concept of vice? You know what, I have already said that, you know what, some people say that what is the concept of vice president, vice, does not this mean that they can also execute the same task of, we have to understand here that why the concept of vice exists. It is because of human limitations, my dear brothers and sisters. Because a president, for example, could be absent from his post for various reasons. He might be sick. He might have died, you know. Maybe he is abdicated, or he's deposed from his position, right? So there are various reasons why he would be actually, absent from his position. And at that time, during his absence, someone has to execute the task, right? So that is why we have the concept of vice president, right? Or probably president's, task is huge. He has to distribute his task, right? That is why he has the concept of vice. But my dear brothers and sisters, does God suffer with these limitations, right? Does God fall sick? Does he die? Remember, in the previous episode we discussed that God doesn't have any beginning and he doesn't have any end, right? Can he be dethroned? Can anyone take away his kingdom from him? These are all absurdities, my dear brothers and sisters. So we have to understand here that we have the concept of vice because humans have their limitations. That is why. So my dear brothers and sisters, all these discussions, this prove that Creator's oneness is actually embedded in our souls. This idea is an idea that we all are born with. We don't have to argue about it, And moreover, think about this, that those people, those who say gods are many, what is the logic that they're going to show behind that belief? There is no logic that they can show. And if they say also that the gods are many, how can they prove a specific figure? For example, if they say that there are 1,000 gods, then how can they prove that number of gods is not 999 or 1001? Why does it have to be that specific figure? How did they arrive to that figure, right? So my dear brothers and sisters, this all prove that Creator is actually one. I can show you more and more logic, but the thing is, obviously, I don't want to make it a prolonged one, right? I think you have understood, and the conclusion of this episode is that the Creator is one. The crux of all this discussion that we have done today is that the Creator is one. And more importantly, that no one is worthy of worship except the Creator himself. No one, there is no God worthy of worship except the Creator himself. And he is the only true God. With this, my dear brothers and sisters, I would like to end the episode here. Thank you very much for watching. But remember, we are not done yet. There are more and more attributes of the Creator we need to discuss, which I will be doing in the next episode. Please continue watching. See you in the next episode. Take care.